yeah, learning a lot of stuff, learning other things, and somehow I came across Dolores Cannon and bought this book, and I just started reading it and decided, just felt compelled to read it aloud and share with you guys, maybe get you guys interested as well. So, here we go. Chapter 1. I won't be reading all of it, but here we go. The Death Experience. I have been accused of speaking to and communicating with spirits of the dead, a definite no-no in religious circles. I had never thought of it in just that way, but I suppose it is true. With the exception that the dead with whom I speak are no longer dead, but they are living again today and going about their daily lives. For, as you see, I am a regressionist. This is a popular term for a hypnotist that specializes in past life regressions and historical research. Many people still have difficulty accepting the idea that I am able to go back through time and talk to people as they relive other lives down through history. I soon became accustomed to this and found it fascinating. I have written books describing some of my adventures in this incredible field. With most hypnotists, past life work is strictly off limits. I don't really understand why, unless they are afraid of what they might find and would rather stick with known and familiar situations which they are positive they can handle. One such therapist confided in me as though he had made a real breakthrough. I have tried some regressions. I once took someone back to when he was a baby. He was so serious. It was almost impossible for me to suppress a laugh as I answered, "Oh, that is where I begin, sorry." Even among other regressionists who work regularly with past life memories as therapy, I have found many who have their own fears about taking a hypnotized subject through death experience or venturing into the periods between lives when the person is supposedly dead. They're afraid something physical might actually happen to the living body of the subject in trance. That somehow they may be harmed by the reliving, sorry, of these memories, especially if they are traumatic. After going through this experience with thousands of subjects, I know that there are no physical problems, even if the regressed personality died in a horrible way. Of course, I will always take special precautions to ensure that there will be no physical effects. The welfare of my subject is always my most immediate concern. I feel that my technique completely safeguards the subject. I would not attempt this type of research otherwise. To me, the in-between life plane, the so-called dead state, is the most exciting sphere of existence I have encountered, because I believe there is much information to be obtained there that can be of great benefit to humankind. I believe people can come to realize that death is nothing to fear. When they face that time in their life, they can see that it is not a new experience, but one they are well acquainted with. They themselves have already performed it many times. They will not go into the great terrifying unknown, but to a place, but to a familiar place they have already visited many, many times. A place that many call home, myself included. I hope people can learn to see birth and dying as evolutional cycles that each person goes through many times and are thus a natural part of their soul's growth. After death, there is life and existence in other planes, just as it is real in the physical world they see around them. It may even be more real. Once, while talking to a woman who considered herself enlightened, I was trying to explain some of the things I have found. I told her I did some research into what it was like to die and where you go afterwards. She asked excitedly, "Where did you go? Heaven, hell, or purgatory?" I was disappointed. If those were the only choices in her mind, the only choices her mind would accept, as she, it was obvious the woman was not as enlightened as she thought. Exasperated, I replied, "Neither." She was shocked. "You mean you stay in the dirt?" Thus, I realized that in order to write this book, I must retrace my steps to where I stood when the door first opened and try to remember my beliefs and thoughts as they were before the light entered. No easy task, but necessary if I am to understand and relate to those still searching for that door and that light. For I must speak to them in terms that they can understand and try to lead them gently down the path of awareness, when they can live their lives to the fullest without fear of what tomorrow brings. To so many people, the word death seems so forbidding, so final, so hopeless. A black void of mystery and confusion because it represents a cutting off from the physical world, which is the only place they definitely know with a certainty exists. Like many things in life, death is unknown, shrouded in mystery, folklore, and superstition, and thus to be feared. Yet it is something that we know everyone must eventually experience, no matter how much we wish to push it to the back of our minds and not think about it. We know that the body is only mortal, and will someday expire. What happens then? Will the personality that we consider to be ourselves also perish with the physical shell? Is this life all there is? Or is there something more, something rare and beautiful beyond what we know as life? Maybe the churches are correct, and when they preach about heaven for the good and pious and hell, for the sorry, I'm dyslexic. I lose my spot sometimes. And hell for the evil and damned. With my insatiable curiosity, I am always searching for answers, and I believe there are many others who also share this craving to know. It would make life so much easier if we could live out our time in happiness and love, not fearing what lies at the end. When I began my first regression research, I had no idea I would find the answers to any of those questions. Being a history enthusiast, I mostly enjoyed going back through time and talking to people in different eras. I enjoyed reliving history as it was being made and as it was seen through their eyes as they remembered their other lives. I wanted to write books about each sorry. I wanted to write books about their versions of these historical periods because each unknowingly corroborated the other's stories while in deep trance. There are patterns I did not expect to find, but when something unexpectedly occurred, that opened up a whole new world for me to explore, and I discovered the period between lives, the so-called dead state, the place where people went after they left a physical life here on Earth. I could still remember the first time I stumbled through the door and spoke to the dead. It was during the past life regression, and one of the subjects died on me. It happened so quickly and spontaneously that I was taken off guard. I was not fully aware of what had happened. I don't know what I expected would occur if someone were to go through a death experience. But as I said, it happened so quickly, there was not time to stop it. The person looking down at their body and saying that they looked just like any other corpse I was amazed that this person had definitely remained intact. It had not changed. This is important. This is a fear that some have, that some people have, that somehow the experience of dying will transform them or their loved ones into something different, strange, or unrecognizable. Again, it is fear of the unknown. Um, Sorry, this is the book, and I'll try to find my spot. Again, it is the fear of the unknown. Why else are we so afraid of ghosts and spirits? We think that somehow the process of crossing over will change them from the beloved person we knew into something evil and frightening. But I have discovered that the personality remains the same. Although on some occasions it experiences monumentary confusion, it is still basically the same person. When I overcame my shock and wonder of being able to speak with someone after they had died, my curiosity took over, and I was filled with questions I had always wondered about. From that time forward, each time I found a subject who would go into the deeper states of hypnosis required for this type of research, I made a practice of asking some of the same questions. Religious beliefs, or lack thereof, seemed to have no influence on what they reported. Their answers were basically identical each time, although worded differently. They were all saying the same thing, a phenomenon in itself. Sorry, diabetic problems always got something beeping at you. Onward. Since I began my work in 1979, I have had hundreds and hundreds of people go through the death experience. They have died in every conceivable manner: accidents, shootings, stabbings, fire, hanging, decapitation, drowning, and even in one case by death in an atomic explosion. Intense. Which I reported in my book, A Soul Remembers Hiroshima. They have died naturally from heart attacks, disease, old age, and peacefully in their sleep, although there has been a great deal of diversity. There have also been definite patterns that have emerged. The manner of death may have pardon. The manner of death may be different, but what happens afterward is always the same. Thus, I have come to the conclusion that there is really no reason to fear death. We subconsciously know what happens and what lies over there. We should. We have had so much practice at it. We have all gone through it countless times before. So, in my study of death, I have found the celebration of life. It is far from being a morbid subject, but a most fascinating other world. With death also comes wisdom. Something happens with the shredding of the physical body, and a whole new dimension of knowledge opens up. Apparently, the human being is limited and hampered by being in the physical. The personality or the spirit that continues on is not hindered in this way and can perceive so much more than we can even imagine. Thus, when I talked to these people after they had died, again, we're not talking, yeah, anyway, died. I was able to obtain the answers to many puzzling and perplexing questions that have haunted humankind since the beginning of time. To making up words. What the spirit reported depends upon the personal spiritual growth of that spirit. Some had more knowledge than others and were able to express it clearer in terms that were easier for us mortals to grasp. I will attempt to describe what they experience by letting them speak for themselves. This book is a compilation of what many people reported. Alright, so I am the bottom of page 5. If anyone has the book or is going to get the book and continue reading, whatnot. That is all I'm reading tonight. This is the rest of chapter 1. I'm not reading that all right now. So, yeah, that's it for now. I just felt compelled, since I was starting reading this book, to come on here and share with you guys. Anybody that's going through spiritual growth, that is trying to find the answers of why we are here and what we are doing here, and just looking for some hope beyond television. Get away from television if you can. Get away from media if you can. Get back to basics. Hard copy, physical books, reading. It's better for your brain. It's better for your soul. And yeah, anyway. I don't know if I'll come back and read more, but hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll probably come back on here and share some more of my findings of my research and such, of time and just everything, what we're here doing here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys have a lovely night.